Pfumvudza. In Africa, many rural farmers attempt to farm as much as 2 hectares of land every year, and yet are still unable to produce an adequate supply of food to sustain themselves. To alleviate this, many people believe that the answer is to either farm more land or to mechanize. Unfortunately, neither of these options work, as larger land means even poorer standards and no increase in food. And mechanization is generally out of financial reach for most families. In 2012, God inspired a faithful man to make a plan to help families feed themselves. Through much prayer, it was revealed to him to investigate what it would take to fill a bucket with maize. A bucket of maize will normally be sufficient to feed a family of 6 for a week. Thus, if each family was able to grow 52 buckets of maize each year, they would easily sustain themselves. The question was asked, how much land is required to feed a family for a year? Using all the foundations for farming principles and assuming that a family would require a bucket of maize per week to provide their staple diet, the following model was developed. To fill a bucket with shelled maize, you would require 56 cobs weighing 300 grams each. If each maize plant produced at least one of these, we would require 56 plants. As you have 2 plants in each planting station, you would only require 28 planting stations. These are spaced 60 centimeters apart, making each row 16 meters long. If we were to produce a bucket for each week of the year, this would mean we would need 52 of these rows. At a row spacing of 75 centimeters, this would mean our block would be 39 meters long. 16 meters by 39 meters is only 1/16 of a hectare. This sounds almost too good to be true, but by following some very simple guidelines and doing things on time, to a high standard, and without wastage, this is very achievable. To make this a reality for people with no hope, a seed and fertilizer pack was developed. One $50 pack is required to plant a plot, which would feed a family for a year. Each pack contains 12 kgs lime, 16 kgs basal fertilizer, 2 kgs maize seed, 2 by 8 kgs top dressings, fertilizer cups, and an instruction pamphlet. It is essential that training is received for a farmer to be able to achieve the potential of this amazing revelation. The principles involved are not complicated, but require the farmer to follow them diligently and with very high standards. Farmers are taught how to prepare their fields from the end of summer, ensuring their fields are weed-free and mulched through the winter. As the season approaches, they would begin to mark out and dig the planting stations for their plot. The plot is only 16 meters by 39 meters, thus there are only 1,456 planting stations to prepare. The amount of mulch required to cover the plot is also very manageable. It is even possible for the farmer to apply water to the plot in a dry period or if he desires to plant early. Once all the planting stations are prepared and the rainy season is approaching, the lime from pack 1 would be applied to the planting stations at a rate of 1 5mm cup per station. Then the basal fertilizer from pack 2 would also be applied using an 8 ml cup. These inputs are covered with a small layer of soil, leaving a planting depression of 5 centimeters into which the seed will be placed. We now wait for the rains. Once the first effective rains have been received, planting would be done immediately. From pack 3, which contains the seed, 3 seeds are placed evenly into each planting station. The seeds are covered with soil which is free of clods and stones. The planting stations are covered level with the ground and mulch is placed over it. This will protect the soil from drying too quickly and from forming a cap on the surface. Within a few days, the seeds will germinate. Continue to be vigilant with weed control and remove them as early as possible. 2 to 3 weeks from emergence, we should thin our crop to 2 plants per planting station. If we have achieved excellent germination, we will require to remove one plant from every station, leaving two. If there are two plants, no thinning is required. When there is only one plant, the adjacent station must be left with three plants to compensate for the missing plant. No form of transplanting or gap filling is advisable. At the same stage as thinning, the first top dressing should also be done. Here the fourth pack, which contains ammonium nitrate, is used. First a slight depression needs to be made, about 10 centimeters away from the plants on the upslope side. Then a 5 cup of ammonium nitrate is applied into this hole and covered. About 4 weeks from germination, a treatment for stalk borer is advised. A small pinch is placed into the funnel of each plant. Continue to remove weeds as early as possible, never allowing them to grow to maturity and infest your field with a new crop of seed. Weeding should be done all the way through the growth of the crop's life. As the maize begins to tassel, add a second top dressing application using pack 5. At maturity, the crop will be harvested. The cobs are removed and the stalks left in place. After harvest, the stalks are knocked down to form the protective blanket for our soil for the next season. With the simple instructions and assistance of the pack provided, a family should very easily feed itself for the year. This is truly a revelation to feed a nation and a miraculous blessing from the Lord.